Hey, welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time for the next edition of Trending. And in this one, we'll be covering Battlegrounds. I did get to do them for about a week. I streamed one. I did a video on another. You can check them out. They will be in the Battlegrounds playlist on my channel. But now it's time to hear what some other players think, some incredibly smart players. And we have two of them from the rankings team. I'm sure you know them, but in case you do not, we have DLL and Campo. They are BG leaders, alliance leaders of the now back-to-back Masters Tier Alliance War Alliance SSX. They have incredible channels. I actually do watch them so I can get better at this game. I'm also entertained along the way. Thank you so much, Campo and DLL, for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. I'll try to do a better job of saying who should go first because I know we're not in the same room. And viewers, hopefully you're enjoying this. We've got a way so you can tell who's exactly talking. Our voices are different, but yeah, I think this is nice. Let us know what you think. All right, Battlegrounds. They are extremely, extremely exciting. I did get to play them, as I said. I cannot wait until everyone else gets to test them. But there are some things that we want to talk about. We have three major topics on my Discord server. We've created a whole channel to ask people, what are you interested? Here's a general topic, Battlegrounds. What are things that are concerning you? What would you like to see the rankings team cover? We were able to break them down into basically three different themes, and we're going to cover those today. The first one is, and this was put out a lot. There was a lot of questions about this. So it's kind of a big topic. Is uncompetitive concerns, right? Concerns about the ways things may go that could take away from the competition or just make it unfair in a variety of ways. And most of that centered around energy costs, refreshing of champions, 30 champions. Is that too big? Is that too little? And then, of course, boosts. There's a lot there. I'd like to let Campo go ahead and start us off with that.
Sure. Yeah, thanks again for having us today. Looking forward to the discussion. So, you know, when we're talking about competitive game, I guess the first question I would have is like, if somebody has infinity units, do they have a massive advantage at Battlegrounds? And then I'm thinking like, okay, what does that mean? So, okay, they can have infinite refills and they can keep doing that. They have a bigger roster so they can fill their 30. They can refresh their champions. Okay, that all makes sense, but then at the same time, the game mode is based on winning the matches. So if you are a skilled enough player that you're going to win 50% of the time, and you do 100 times more matches than me, you're still going to have the same percentage winning. So to me, I don't know about how like the energy and getting into it may lead to exploits or the competitive nature of it. I do think you did bring a boost briefly. I would love to see no boosting because like even for someone like me, I might be taking some war fights. I might be max boosted and then I'll be like, oh, I've got 30 energy. I'm going to do Battlegrounds. And I think that would give me an unfair advantage. You know, if I was going up someone that wasn't in Masters Tier War that didn't have access to those boosts, since we do have the like health remaining, if you have 30% more health, obviously you have a big advantage. So those are just my initial thoughts. I'd kind of be interested to hear if that was a jumping off point for either of you guys.
Yeah, what do you think, DLL?
Yeah, I definitely think the boosts are worrisome because that's something that most of us do have to budget. It's not something that like you're constantly shelling out units for. I know that's something that we talk about in Tier 1 a lot. Like the solo crystals, the supreme solo crystals are a huge source of small boosts for a lot of us. And so like there is a way to just get these by working. But like I just said, we still budget them, right? And I can see a real worry that there are people who wouldn't have to budget them. And, you know, if that leads to them, I think Campo's point about win rate is an important one. If that leads to people with infinite units at their disposal winning like 55% of the time, I think I can live with it. Because, you know, there is always going to be monetization in this game. If it leads, like if the margins are narrow enough that boosting heavily puts your win rate from like 50 to 70 or 80, then I think that's really going to get in the way of my enjoyment.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to roster, I honestly don't have that many concerns because that's not just a like pay to win thing. Even people who are completely free to play, like a huge portion of this game is developing your roster intelligently, strategically, covering your weaknesses, deciding who you're going to invest stones in, awakening gems in, catalysts in, which crystals are you going to open to try and get which champions, which content are you going to do when. All of those things, even if you never spend any money on the game, are things that if you do well, I think you should be rewarded for them. And so I think that having a roster advantage in Battlegrounds, like being better positioned if you have a better 30 than someone else, is fair even if monetization doesn't exist. And monetization is going to dramatize it, but that part doesn't really bother me. I could see the boosts being problematic, but it's hard to tell how problematic, I think.
I think this is a really tough one because I think if you accept the rules, and I like how you said that monetization is part of this game, right? And that's a debate for a different video. There's just no way. Like, and as you were talking about, like I'm showing my roster, so these are all of my rank 3s. I don't know if you guys can see the screen anymore, but there's quite a few. There's a lot. And viewers, you can see the last one. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Is Venom. I think that's going to give me an advantage going in, no matter what, whether there's boost, refresh, or all these things. And so I'm using this example as I think every summoner, just by the basis of their account, how much content they've completed, and then also, how many deals they have purchased, is going to have an advantage or disadvantage right from the beginning. But I think that's this game, and it's about striking that balance. I think that's where Kabam needs to put in their work, is like striking that balance between, we got it. Like, we're not going to now remove Vega's R3s to make this fair or competitive. But at the same time, I think this is why I don't like boosts, is because I think that feels like, I don't think so. To me, that feels like an exponential increase into an advantage that already existed. That's why boosts themselves are bothered. I'm like, I don't want them there. And I'm someone who, if I want to win, I'm going to spend the units to go get the boosts. It just feels like that's taking my however many rank 3s I have. I don't remember. I didn't count it up. And unnecessarily making that advantage even bigger. What do you guys think about that?
I think there's some truth to that. And then the other side of the coin is like, it would really relieve a lot of pressure if this game mode is as awesome and important for progression as it could be. Like, I don't want to have to think about budgeting boosts either. I would love to be able to use those in other game modes, like when the Karina's Challenge or when Alliance War comes out. So just to like, I think it would be of benefit to the players to be like, nobody gets to use them, just use your roster. It really evens the playing field, and then you don't have to go through that question in your head like, I really want to win this match to get my rating up, so I'm gonna have to boost. I mean, we already kind of have to do that for Alliance War. So yeah, I'd like to see them out of the equation just so that it's not even an option to have to mull over.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that there's already, because you were talking about striking the balance with monetization, there is already so much room in this game mode for that. Because like, I'm just looking at the rank 3s you have in front of you here. I mean, it goes without saying you have a ton that I just don't have. But there's already so many options for Kabam to make money, just going like, hey, would you like your King Groot to be higher Sig?
Yeah.
In my case, would you like to have a King Groot? Would you like to keep spending on this game so that you can get not only the 3 champions that you use in AQ, the 5 attackers most people cycle through in war, and then your 5 defenders, going from that 13 to 15 to, hey, here's another 30 that you want to advance that may or may not overlap with that. There's already plenty of room to incentivize us to build out our rosters which usually involves some combination of hard work, planning, and spending without having to worry about budgeting boosts. And I agree with you. I think it is a compounding effect. It makes the advantage that much worse.
Compounding is probably a better word than exponential. Anyone who's watches our channel knows you're better with words than I am, so that makes sense. All right, well, that all makes a lot of sense to me. And now I'm thinking about it, it might make a little bit of sense to separate these out a little bit because they are different and maybe have different implications. And the first one is energy cost. And even while I was playing it, it felt like this is a lot to be spending because, this is a resource that we use to actually also do content. And that's obviously important. And I think Kabam would want us doing all of these things and not having energy be what limits us from going around and enjoying the game. What did you guys think, though, as far as the energy cost? Did it seem too high? Did it seem just about right? Or I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Or did it seem too low?
So I do think it seems a little bit high because, with our rosters, and I know that you buy the sigil and I tend to as well, and that brings with it a certain amount of energy refills on top of the usual. On my main account, I never really feel like I need energy, even when big content like 7.4 drops. Like, I will use energy because I'll probably be streaming it as well, but I don't feel like I'm going to feel the crunch on it. But like on my alt account where I don't get the sigil, I don't have the same progression benefits, energy is a real concern. And 30 is a lot. So my hope when I'm seeing that is that Kabam just kind of wanted to put something in place, kind of the same way that when we do betas, like they just use gold for everything. They're like, oh, you want to rank up your champion? Go spend 1 gold on this gem. Go spend 1 gold on these sig stones. Like that kind of thing, it makes sense. If it comes into the game at 30 energy and there's no limit on how much you can use, it uses the same currency that we use to get through content, that will bother me a little bit. Because like 30 without the sigil is hours. Like hours and hours. And oftentimes we wait those hours and then go clear content with it.
What do you think, Campo? How's that hit for you and your account?
Yeah, I agree as well because I'm kind of like DLL where the energy isn't really an issue and there are ways to farm energy refills as well. But 30, if that's really what it will be in the live game, it's just such a weird number to me because you do 2 ranked matches and you've wasted the whole refill. You have 10 energy left. So the most minor of tweaks that I would recommend is to put it to like 20 so that you can at least get 3 battlegrounds out of it, or you only do 20 and then you still have 50 left to go do a quest. Like often 50 will get you pretty far into a quest. But yeah, in terms of alternatives, I think DLL started kind of hinting at this of like an alternate currency to get in. I think that would probably be a good idea. Like for Alliance Quest and Alliance War, we have its own set of 6 energy. I also would kind of be a fan of like a limited entry system, like they do for the side quests, where it's like everybody can do, 5 maximum a day or something like that. That might pressure people to do exactly 5 a day or not. But, it seems like there needs to be a different system in place, especially if content like Act 7 and whatnot are going to be coming out in the next couple months. If we're trying to balance the same currency, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, I think the energy itself, it's sitting oddly for me. I felt like, I think I even said it while playing it, like it felt like it should be a totally different currency, kind of to the points you guys are making. Like we have energy for Alliance Quest, we have energy for Alliance War, we need to manage that. This isn't a quest, at least I don't think it is, or I wouldn't define it as one. So why are we using quest energy? And then also, like, again, if I was Kabam, if I was the maker of the game, I would want people playing as much as possible and doing really fun things. So why have this incredibly cool new fun mode of the game have the same energy requirements or same energy requirements as actual questing. I would want people doing both of those things, not trying to decide which one are they going to do. So I have a feeling it's not going to stay as high as it is, and I hope they actually even come up with like a totally different way of going about it. This kind of leads into I think refreshing and the 30 champions, and I do think we can combine those two topics. I understand concerns on it. There was a lot of questions on the Discord server about these two. I'll set the table a little bit in that the scoring system's done a certain way, meaning this isn't a grindable mode of the game. This isn't arenas where, if you lose an arena match, it's okay because, it's a little bit of a setback, but you can play for, 18 hours a day over the course of 3 days and you're going to get that champion. I'm hoping this event is not scored in that way, shape, or form. And so as a result, refreshing champions and the 30 champion, it really doesn't bother me. But mainly that's because of the way I think or hope this event is scored. Meaning, if someone wants to constantly sit there and refresh their champions and always have their best 30, I feel like there's maybe a competitive advantage to that, or not a competitive advantage. I feel like there's a benefit to someone with a more limited roster. So I actually kind of like that. And also, if someone's sitting there and they're just treading water, like they're winning one, they're losing one, they're winning one, they're losing one, again, it's not really affecting me. I feel like that's cool. They're enjoying the mode and they want to use their units that way, shape, or form. I feel like there's probably some concerns, though, that I'm not seeing. DLL, one, I'd like to hear, if there are concerns, what do you think there are? And just how do you feel about the refreshes and 30 champs in general?
Yeah, I think that's all fair. I mean, part of it is what the refreshes are. I've been on the record for a long time that I think the refreshes for 6 stars in incursions are too long. They are artificially restrictive of that game mode. It makes it harder to do the unofficial tournaments we do because it's a full week.
Yeah.
It's longer than when they reset. So if you try to do it every 5 days, you're going to be swapping teams around a lot, which, sure, I understand the incentive for that, but it doesn't feel like there's much of a rhyme or reason to it. So I think that's a big thing, is just as long as the refreshes are reasonable and, like you say, it's not set up to be infinitely grindable in a way where there are no drawbacks, you don't lose points, then that doesn't bother me too much. The 30 champions is an easy thing because while we were talking, I just went through my roster and counted only my rank 3s. I have more than 30 rank 3s, but if I was trying to limit myself to ones that I feel are appropriate for Battlegrounds, I got to 22. And then I run out. And my alliance, or my account is pretty darn good. And I still have that limitation, so I am going to feel it. But it doesn't bother me because it's something to work towards. And I feel like this is something that's going to be an aspirational part of the game working forward. It's the same way that when content comes out, you don't necessarily have all of the perfect tools for it. I cleared Grandmaster's Gauntlet and did so fairly efficiently, but I would do it differently now. There are always going to be those things in game, and I think that that's fair. I mean, even if you're looking at a very small account, I probably wouldn't do Battlegrounds on my alt, because if we start getting into filling a deck of 30 champions, I'm going to be getting into unranked 3 stars pretty quickly. It is not going to work for me. But I've tried playing Arena on that account, and it's not any better.
Yeah.
And Arena is the holy grail of free-to-play MCoC, isn't it? So I think that's just kind of something that's true for smaller accounts, that certain things are going to be harder, and you work towards making them easier. So I hope that Kabam sets up things to make that less painful. Maybe there's an option for you, they bring out a friendly match version. Maybe there's an option where you can do a drop down and you can only use 15 champions. Maybe they can add something like that in, especially if you're below a certain prestige number or something. to try and get people into it, get new accounts excited for it, so they start building towards it. It becomes a goal of theirs the same way you see people say, like, I want to get into a Map 8 alliance. I want to move up a tier in war. Like, these are goals I have for my account and for my skill level. Battlegrounds, I think, can and will be a part of that. But it doesn't bother me that much that I'm going to feel like I have trouble filling a deck on my main account and won't be able to at all on my alt for a while.
What do you think, Campo? I know there's a lot there.
I agree with most of that. Instead of kind of mirroring that, I'll also say, like, I kind of like the number 30, even though I'm kind of like DLL. I don't think I have 30 viable rank 3s, so like I'm gonna have to use a couple rank 2s and 5 stars and stuff. But 30 seems like a good number because you pick 7 and then there's also the 3 bans, and I don't know, I just feel like if it was only 20 or something, it would just end up kind of being too small of a selection of champions. So I don't know, I haven't really heard anyone say that, but like I do think they really thought about this. Like, you have 30, then you have 7, there's the 3 bans. Like, those numbers seem to kind of work well together for me in my mind. And maybe one thing they could do, kind of like how incursions are scaled based on progression level, you know, so that someone like DLL's alt or things like that can have a little bit better time. Maybe you can drop it down to 20 champions for progression level, like if you're under Uncollected or under Cavalier or something, because I could see that being pretty prohibitive if you want to start playing this mode early on. But I think for anybody who's, you know, Thronebreaker or Cavalier, 30, you'll make it work. You'll make it work. And I kind of like the idea of not always using the same top champions, like Dr. Doom and Apocalypse for me, like every time. You know, it's going to kind of cause me to think a little bit outside the box and use some other options if you have to pick 30.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is while you guys were talking about it, and what's really interesting is I thought for sure we were going to disagree on this one. I was like, in fact, on my notes, I was like, okay, watch out in case this gets heated, right? Like, it's like, oh, people are going to tune in for the drama on this one. Is I was going through here, and I think I have 62 rank 3s. That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm pretty sure I counted right. I've counted like 8 times. I then counted the champions that if I had unlimited resources, I would want to rank 3 right now for Battlegrounds. And I intentionally left off some. Like, I would probably want to rank Vision Arcus up. Like, it's cool that he's on the screen, because I think he could cause problems, and I think he can do things offensively. I had 13 champions that if I had unlimited resources, I would rank 3 like today, right now, because I think they will be helpful in here. And to me, I'm saying this because I think it goes a lot to what you both said, is like, this gives you something to work for. And that was one of the reasons I was just so immediately excited about this mode, was you're never done. Like, the challenge is constant, and you get to use a huge part of your roster. I think it gives newer players, intermediate players, and people who've been in the end game for a very, very long time something exciting to look for, because it's constantly changing. You're constantly going against another person, and because you're using 30 champions, and even if you can refresh them or you can't refresh them, you're able to sub in other people. And that's where like the competitive part of refreshing, and I'd like to kind of hone in on this a little bit, because I know that there were comments on here saying that, or I felt like from the question, I'm reading into a little bit, they felt like refreshing was uncompetitive. And I actually think it is competitive, and I'll explain why. Is okay, you know, you're going up against me. Let's use my account, for example. I'll be the villain in this one. And, man, I've used Clairvoyant. She's down. Well, I'll just sub in Scarlet Witch. Fine. But I'm going up against someone who doesn't even have 30 rank 3s. And they can use a refresh. Now, I think the refresh cost shouldn't be prohibitive. Like, if it's like 5 units or something, I think that's fine. But if they're going up against, they're like, oh, I got matched against Vega. I really want to beat this guy. He's a big jerk. I'm going to refresh my Clairvoyant. Is there a point? Is there something I'm missing, or is there an angle to this that I'm not, I think, giving enough credit to? Now let's start off with Campo.
I mean, only in that, if the only way to get anything out of this mode is that, the scenario you said, if I'm going up against Vega or someone similar account, I'm going to have to refresh to win, and get anything out of the mode, then maybe, but I don't know. I mean, energy or like entry costs and refreshing is pretty standard to MCoC, just the way the game works. And I would be more upset if it was more like the thing DLL said, where like the refreshing time was so prohibitive that it would be a huge pain to like ever get Dr. Doom back or whatever, So I don't see it as inherently being somebody who spends a ton of money having a huge advantage by refreshing. But like I said, I hope that the game mode has a good flow and there's a good balance to it, so that my champions are coming off cooldown right around when I'm trying to play this mode competitively again, and then I have some other options while they're on cooldown, and it's kind of a moot point. I mean, that's sort of what the balance department at MCoC probably is working toward.
Let's hope so anyway. What do you think, JLL?
Yeah, I think that's all true. And I mean, another thing is that I think if you are just constantly refreshing the best champions, then you're going to be missing out on something here.
Yeah.
Because I think that I like the point you made about people who've been at the end game for a long time, Vega, because I know both of us have a whole lot of friends who have been complaining for a very long time that they don't feel like they need their rank 3s.
Yeah.
They're like, what am I doing this for? Why am I ranking these rank 3s? Like, I have my go-to war attackers. My defense is set. I don't need anybody for AQ. I'm done with all content, and I didn't really need rank 3s for that content. I could have gotten by on rank 2s, or maybe even, like 5-star rank 4s. What am I working towards? And why do I need to learn how to play Tigra or Hood if I'm not going to be the person taking them into war? What's the point? The answer is something like this.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that encourages you to be good with a large chunk of your roster. And it also can help, I think, incentivize ranks that don't necessarily work in war. Like, me, one of my favorite champions lately has been Jabari. I think she's awesome. She's so much fun to play. She has defensive and offensive utility. She's a good rank for something like this. I never use her in war. She's just too fragile. It's too risky. I can't make that call when 29 other people depend on me. But if the cost is, okay, well, I might have to refresh Jabari if I want to use her again. Maybe if I lose, I'll drop a few points on the leaderboard. Might have to use some energy. And that's it? I'm absolutely going to be using her, and I'm probably going to be doing some cool things with her. I'm probably going to be winning because sometimes she's on defense, she throws somebody off. Sometimes I'm using her for exactly what I want to use her for on offense. And I'm enjoying the game more because of it.
Yeah.
Because what I love about this game is the depth of it. Like, read Spider-Man 2099, Void, Captain America, Infinity War. They're all different. They're all science champions. They're all good. And I want to use all of them. Like, I have my favorites. Anyone who watches my channel knows that I do. But, like, we can appreciate more than just our top 5. And I think that this mode, one of the things that excites me so much about it, is that I think it will encourage a lot of us to get excited about more than just our top champions.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that in listening to you guys, and even while you're just talking about it, and thank you for bringing up Jabari. It's not like I've had enough pain from her lately.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, and in all seriousness, she's one of the champions I would love to have ranking right now. Like, I just recently took up Killmonger. I did a whole video on 4 champions I just took to rank 3, with Battlegrounds being a large theme for it and my motivations to rank them. And she was one. I almost took her up over Killmonger. But I was like, no, Killmonger's just too good. I need to bring him up. But I'm looking at it, and she is a perfect example of And I think this might be a nice segue into the second topic. I think we've really gone on to this, but is there anything else you guys wanted to address on this, like concerns, competitive, uncompetitive, boost, energy cost, refresh, the 30 champs? Is there anything else? I want to make sure we cover this because a lot of the questions were on this before we segue into the second topic. DLL will go first.
I think I'm good. I'll try and maybe loop back if something comes up, but I think that's most of it for me.
Yeah, same thing here. I think there's also just unknowns about the mode, so that, I don't think we can hash out too much more than we've already talked about based on just what we know, so good stuff.
It sounds like we all agreed. Kabam, make the game fun. Like they've got a great model there. Don't make refreshing. We all seem to be okay with the concept as long as it's not giving this gross advantage, because it's a situation where the more you play, the better. If that's how you're going to dominate, where it's like arena. No, I think that would kill the mode. To be honest, actually, is if it was this grindable thing where you're like, I'm not allowed to stop playing it because I will lose my spot. And
that's why like a limited entries thing that I mentioned before might even make more sense than energy, because then it's like everybody gets the same amount of matches, and just kind of like Alliance War season, you get 12 to make your mark, so
there's a comparison.
Who knows?
I really like that idea, man, especially if it's like a competitive mode where it's like, okay, you made a mistake, that sucks, we know it doesn't feel good, you can maybe try again tomorrow. not like, fine, here, just play 10 more times and you'll make it all up. So I love these general ideas a lot. Let's segue into champions though, because we're talking about ones I would consider. I'm like on my screen right now, there's 4. I would love to take up Jabari Panther, Black Widow, Monkey. There's more, and I don't want to take all of our answers. Champions on the rise. Which ones do you think this sort of mode will make you more interested in ranking up? And how will this potentially change how you view rank ups? Let's go ahead and start off with Campo for this. Really interested in hearing about this because so much of the game is about utilizing your resources efficiently. And a big part of that is, of course, ranking up champions.
Yeah. So we already kind of hinted on, if you can find those ones that are good on defense and offense, obviously you want to be looking at those. I know for me personally, I'm sitting on a Mystic Awakening gem, and I just pulled Dr. Voodoo, who is one of my favorite attackers. I think he would do well in this mode, but I also have an unduped Mojo, who I think could really have an impact on defense, and who knows, maybe on offense as well. So yeah, I do think that the fact that I'm thinking about Battlegrounds, I don't think I would have prioritized even the idea of Mojo, because we have plenty in our battle group for Alliance War defense if it wasn't for this mode. But I made a list of a few champions that I would be really excited to use here. One of them, I know this isn't really a champion on the rise because he's already so good, but I think Warlock is going to just be amazing because anytime the opponents have willpower, it's just a great time. Penny Parker, to me, I think offense and defense, she can end fights pretty quickly by just throwing a few specials. Like, I think there's going to be something there. I wrote down CGR, and not just because of his fast nature, but he has one of the highest block proficiencies in the game, believe it or not, and you do need to parry often when you play him. His block proficiency is similar to Dr. Doom, so when it comes to that champion health remaining, I'm kind of excited to test him out. And then sort of my 2 dark horse candidates that I'm hoping are going to make an impact. One of them is Wasp. She can be a little annoying on defense if you don't have a counter, but I'm thinking about if Torch or Doom are banned or something, and somebody throws out an America Chavez or a Dr. Doom to fight, she gets that fight over pretty quickly, and if you've got the evades down, she doesn't take that much damage just based on her playstyle, which is pretty cool to me. And I mentioned him before, Dr. Voodoo, I think because Magic doesn't exist as a 6-star and may never, he's one of the closest things we have to that like special 2 and the fight is over type champion. So I'm kind of excited to maybe potentially rank him up and use him as one of my attackers. So that's just kind of a starting point for me. I'm sure we'll go back and forth even more, but
Yeah.
That's a great list. I'm so happy you brought up Wasp because she was on mine as well. She's another one of, I feel like defensive glass cannons as a category are going to be good here. Like Wasp, Jabari, I don't know, maybe Captain Marvel movie. Like there's maybe less her unless there's energy damage. I could even see like Emma Frost, but that category of characters where it's like they're kind of flimsy, so you don't normally assign them in war because, you know, things can go wrong and you don't want to let people down, but you know what they can do. And like they can close out fights very quickly, losing almost no health, and then they can be a problem on defense. Yes, Storm is another really good example. Like, I think that category of champions in general is going to go up. Another one I was looking at is, I know you guys know that I've been a fan of Cersei lately. She's definitely on the list because to Campo's idea of, you know, she can finish fights very quickly. For a lot of these, you get to one special two and they're going to be over. But then she's also difficult to kill quickly. Mm-hmm. Like that's exactly where we're going here. And then another thing, and I hope that this doesn't take us too far off the rails here, but everything we're talking about right now is why the idea of balancing kind of excites me. Yeah. Because we've had those misses like Chavez or like Mangog. I know both of you guys have videos on those two especially. Like, they're solid defenders. They're not really quite there on offense, and it's easy to go, well, they're just defenders. One person, BG, will have to take one for the team and rank them up, and nobody else will ever care about them. But if that kind of champion gets tuned up, then all of a sudden that's exactly who you want in Battlegrounds. One small tweak for viability, and boom, now you're excited. So I'm just... If they nail this, I'm so incredibly excited for where this game is going to go.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt you. Was that a natural pause, or were you done?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So, one thing though I thought was incredible was how many of the champions you guys mentioned I don't have it ranked 3, or I don't even have it ranked 2. We just established, I think I had 62 ranked 3 champions. Like, that's how amazing this mode of the game can be. I really agree with what DL is saying. Is I have concerns about the implementation of rebalancing, kind of. But I think rebalancing could be amazing for this game. I've said it a few times in various places. I really think Kabam was almost like building a new game. Like, this game could exist another 5-10 years with the way it's going. And I think it, to borrow DLL's term, provides so much design space for them to make champions. It no longer has to be like, oh, this champion's really good for Path 8 in War, or this champion will help you counter Doom because he's such a problem. It can be like, this is just a great overall champion, put him out there, and then Battlegrounds is so much fun, they're usable there. And I could not agree more, too, with what you guys said. You went down this list of, like, defensive champions who can also finish you quickly. I'll tell you, because you guys probably haven't had a chance to see it. It's only been out a few hours. I ranked up 4 champions in the video. One was Domino, who I've been passing over despite her being good. But, I mean, if anyone can take a fight that they're losing, and all of a sudden you've lost it somehow, right? The defenders just, like, ruined you somehow. It's Domino, right? Right. Domino, Man-Thing, Killmonger, and Terrax. And Terrax, yeah. Terrax, I don't think is quite that glass cannon situation, but I think he's very strong defensively. And then remember, you get to the point, it's not like you get to use all 30 champions in that single matchup. You're continuously whittling it down. So you could get to a point, because I know people will be like, oh no, Cersei, you just bring in Simsup or whatever. It's like, well, what if you don't have that? Then what do you do? What if you're having to actually deal with her glancing because it's the first or second or third matchup? I could not be more excited about it. Now, I didn't tell you guys that we were going to get this question because this one actually was not listed in the Discord server, but it's something I've been thinking about a lot because I've actually gotten to experience the mode. So I understand if you don't have answers ready to go and you can buy some time and vamp, or I could provide some answers. Now, there's champions that are on the rise. There's ones where you're like, okay, cool. I see a reason for Wasp now, or even more reason for Wasp. What about champions that are otherwise considered very, very good, but might not be very good in Battlegrounds, because I do think that's the case. Does either of you have some thoughts already, or would you like a little bit of time?
Yeah, I've got a few.
All right, let's start off with DLL then.
I mean, the biggest one is just those that lean heavily on their synergies.
Yeah.
Hi, Cable. How you doing?
Yeah.
Omega Red, like, even Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we know that people like Karate Mike and Panda Man Pete are going to win multiple Battlegrounds matches off of the strength of their Ghost play. But there are going to be a whole lot of people who never put her in their decks.
Yep.
Possibly myself included. I'll have to see how I feel. But anybody that relies on like one really important synergy, anybody who truly needs the ramp, like somebody like Maw will be okay. Apocalypse is still going to have his spots, but like you're never going to use Aegon. And Corvus is not going to be nearly as good. I mean, we're going to put the boost thing over there because Corvus.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you. I hope power back, even if they allow boosts, I hope they don't allow power back boosts. Please don't.
Yes.
Please, Kabam, don't do that. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, that kind of champion. I really like the point that Campo made about Warlock. This is kind of going in the other way, but I've actually been talking lately about how I think that Warlock is fairly overrated in Tier 1 War, because you see people go, Warlock will just crush that. And then they go in and you see, oh, somebody died with Warlock. What happened? Oh, they didn't have willpower. Sorry, guys. Didn't clutch it out. But that's one of the reasons that I love that Battlegrounds forces you to use the same masteries going both ways. Warlock will always be good. Because I don't think anybody is ever going to turn off willpower with all of the benefits that it provides just to make Warlock slightly harder to use.
We'll see. But I agree.
Yeah. But on that note, other ones that require weird masteries, like Omega Red again. Sorry, all you Omega Red players.
They've had enough. They've had their time to shine, and there's still questing content in War. Campo, did you have any thoughts on again, kind of not negative implications? Because I don't think this is negative. I actually am excited about it, but champions that might not be as valuable, or other implications to it as far as champions are concerned.
Yeah, well, I mean, my rank 4 is Apocalypse, and I think he'll be a great defender. I still think he'll be a good offense guy, but having him at 1 genetic code to start the fight, he doesn't really get the fight over too quickly, even as a rank 4. So I do think like I'm going to have to be pretty strategic with the use of Apocalypse. And when you said this, the first one that came to mind was Ghost, which DLL mentioned, just because we're definitely not going to be, or I would assume most people are not going to want to even run the recoil tree masteries at all, because that'll kind of mess up the defense and everything. And she just doesn't quite get it. She's very good at like bypassing with her miss, but it's not necessarily going to be the fastest option. So yeah, definitely thinking about her on this list. And I think I had one more, but yeah, I think we've kind of covered it overall though.
Campo, let me because again, you didn't know that I was going to ask this question. Let me put 2 champions up, and if you don't mind, just give me your quick thoughts on you think he takes a bit of a hit in Battlegrounds?
Yeah, I mean, there's also Captain America Infinity War, because of that SIG that he has, that so many people depend on it. Essentially, you're bringing in an unduped cap if you have a SIG 200 cap at your disposal, because you can't bring in your tech champion for Petrify, you can't bring in your skill champion for Shrugging. So yeah, he has the block proficiency and everything, but he's definitely going to suffer a little bit without teammates.
Yeah.
Another one of my rank 3s that will probably make my deck, but I'm going to have to be kind of like conservative how I use her, is actually going to be Kitty Pryde. I do think, her complete nonsense countering abilities require those 2 synergies. She's still pretty darn good without it, but the glass cannon nature of her without Ghost and Tigra, I do think is going to hinder her, and maybe she'll be a better defender than an attacker in this type of scenario. So, someone like her is going to make my deck, but I don't see her being as dominant as she can be when she has her full team.
All right, then, because this part fascinates me, and again, part of what I'm so excited about. So I'd like to ask each of you the same question. We'll start off with Campo, and then we'll go to DLL. Let's say you have them both at rank 3, and you're picking up your deck, and you only have room for one more. Okay, so this is my hypothetical. I know it's a little silly. Are you bringing in Ghost or are you bringing in Wasp?
Man, I think I'm bringing in Wasp. She's one of my favorites anyway. But yeah, I brought her to my last off-season war actually, and she took a rank 4 Doom down. Now he did have Recoil Tree Masteries on, but it would have worked the other way. So I do love her as a standalone champion.
Yeah, I'm definitely bringing Wasp. I mean, she doesn't need the synergy. Not even like Ghost does, but to the extent that Ghost does. It's just not that important to her. And Wasp can do so much that gets overlooked. Like, she was my primary counter for the 625 Mordo, the Do Not Go Gentle one. I soloed him with Wasp like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
We assigned her twice to America Chavez on the node where she goes debuff immune when you get knocked down. She's one of the best Ebony Maw counters in the game because the guaranteed crit thing doesn't work when somebody has class advantage. Like, there's so much she can do that gets overlooked. And I just think that she's going to be both faster on offense and more dangerous on defense than Ghost.
I actually forgot about that part about Ebony Maw. That's a really great point. And I'm glad you added that, because for any viewer who's like, wait a minute, I thought you said these guys were good at the game. They are both. They both can play Ghost too, but it's that Ghost is not a tough defender at all. And you may end up needing to place this defender, where Wasp, one mistake in this mode, she could finish you off. So it was about that balance. And then I would be very disappointed if I didn't at least shout out my boy Silver Centurion. He was great in the actual beta for this. I really excited to use him more and more. And this is the kind of mode. And then this is again, you guys didn't know I was going to ask these questions, but it's just kind of the conversation naturally unfolding. This is also part of what really excites me about the potential of rebalancing, and also where the designers in Kabam could take this game, in that, there's all champions that are like overpowered. We have the whole like pre 12.0 switch tier in the game, right? Some of them though need synergies to be there. Like Kitty Pryde. I think Ghost probably does. I know great players can do great things without her, without that synergy. I feel like if Kabam is concerned about, look, this champion, we're going to put them out, this might be overpowered. I'm worried that in 6 months we're going to need to rebalance this down, but we want to push the envelope. We want to try something new. Do it through a synergy. And in Battlegrounds, which people are really excited about, if this becomes so huge, they can't use that synergy anyway, and you've just got that nice champion. I'm not saying that's the solution. I'm saying that's kind of something that excites me about it. I want to give you guys the opportunity to kind of either say something about that or kind of close out this topic of champions on the rise, on maybe not as valuable, because obviously Captain Infinity War, all these ones we said are still incredibly valuable. But I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to kind of final thoughts on this topic. Let's go ahead and start with DLL.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely true. They can do that. I think it's even a good thing in general. But on the off chance anybody at Kabam is listening to this, please leave yourself open to the idea of then moving those abilities into base kits as part of rebalancing. Because how many champions are there out there right now where we talk about them and they're like, yeah, they're not bad with this synergy. It should really just be a part of their base kit, though. Because it's like barely worth bringing an empty champion, like, even with it, they're not broken. Like, yeah, I just hope that they are willing to move some of those abilities in.
You mean like Black Panther and Hercules, maybe? Is that what you're talking about?
Or even Black Panther and Storm.
Hey, just an idea.
Yeah.
Great point. Thanks for bringing up the other side of that as a great point. And then Campo, anything you'd like to just kind of close with or add on to those points?
No, I think we've covered it all. I when you were saying pre 12.0 Switch, I think this highlights one of your champions in that tier who we've often said is not the best mutant, but they still qualify for that, is Red Magneto. I don't think Red Magneto is going to dominate this mode because he takes a pretty long time to win, you know? Of course, he's probably going to get it done, but like I don't look at him as like a fast get them done option. You have to build your prowess and all that, and it kind of highlights that there's utility and ways to produce damage that don't completely make it seem like you've got the game genie on your cell phone like he does, that you may prefer to bring over him too. So yeah, that excites me definitely, that we're saying like, yeah, Red Mag's Ghost, maybe they're not going to make my deck. That's cool. I like that.
Such a good point. I was never once tempted to bring him on my deck. Never once. And I think I'm trying to think it through why I would. It'd be as if maybe if they're like stun immune, and I'm hoping he's also a difficult defender or something like that. But it just always made so much more sense to bring in my Venom pools, my Venoms, or hopefully now a Terrax to maybe handle Metal or a Robot or something like that, or Nebula, right? So, but I don't need to
or
tell you
maybe
about
your
Nebula.
White Magneto because his special one is more dangerous and he doesn't have to do all the heavies, huh?
And that pre-fight, which he can apply for himself, and that's
Right.
now helping you take all those skill. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited! I can't wait for everyone to go play this mode. All right, let's finish this up. I'm loving this conversation, but let's get on to the third topic. And this was brought up, and I'll admit I was surprised at how frequently it was brought up, because I guess I thought maybe I was the only person who was a little worried or had thoughts or concerns, and then lo and behold, nope, I'm not. And that is concerns for potential impact to alliance modes. I don't want to go too far or read too much into the questions, but it almost felt like, in essence, the question was, if the rewards are so good from Battlegrounds, why am I doing War or Alliance Quest? And as someone who loves Alliance War, I was like, oh man, I hope that's not the case. What do you guys think on that? Do you have thoughts on it? Were you also kind of concerned about it? What are you thinking? Let's go and start with Campo.
I didn't think of that until you brought up the question, so I think that means I wasn't super concerned about it. To me, they are very different animals, and the main difference is with Battlegrounds, you can do it on your own time, whereas Alliance War, you have to do it with a very specific time, and you also have to coordinate with 29 other people, or at least 9 other people. So, yes, the things I love about Alliance War, the only thing I would be worried about is like potential burnout from like, oh, I've got to do this content, I've got to play an Alliance War, I've got to do Alliance Quest, and I got to do Battlegrounds. You know, too many balls in the air. I have to drop one. It's going to be competitive Alliance War. That scenario could definitely happen, you know, because I'm a human being. We all have to balance everything, and there is going to be a point where there's too much. But just like I said, the nature of it being like a 1v1 competition as opposed to this like super coordinated effort, I don't necessarily see it completely detracting from my wanting to do war. And additionally, I'm pretty sure we know nothing about the rewards, right? But like I do think they're going to be different in nature. I mean, we know that potentially, you know, relics are going to be involved. So I don't think it's like you have to choose one or the other to get your catalyst and your shards and things like that. I mean, maybe it is, but yeah, I'm still going to want to do war unless if my plate gets too full with other MCoC stuff and I have to make some tough calls.
Yeah. I think that's all really good. I'm not too worried about it because I kind of, to use maybe a weird metaphor, I kind of see it as like the difference between, you know, competitive gymnastics and like soccer. Like, I mean, we all really love watching, maybe not we all, but a lot of us really love watching like the Olympics. Like some of those events are really incredible. The like one-on-one nature of it, it's exciting. And, you know, if that's how you can progress your account and you really enjoy that, I can see some people choosing to do that over War or especially AQ if the rewards are at all fungible. But I don't see Alliance War taking a hit for two big reasons. One is that, like, the most popular sporting events are the team sports. There's a different element to it. Like, I know that's why all three of us love Alliance War so much, is the team aspect.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to get that out of Battlegrounds, no matter how fun it is. And so I see no threat there. The other thing is that for the overall health of the mode, I saw KT1 say this on one of his recent war videos, and it's true. The overall landscape of Alliance War is just so much more competitive today than it was, say, a year ago.
Yeah.
Like, you have so many more alliances that can reasonably beat each other on any given day. There's so much more competition for the top 3. There's so much more competition for the top 10, for Masters, even for Platinum 1. And to me, that tells me that even if we lose like 10, 15% of the alliances out there for some reason, because, they have members who are like, you know what? It's not worth all this effort, all this coordination. I'm just going to go chill and play Battlegrounds and do content when it comes out. Even if there are people who do that and it causes some alliances to drop out of this race, I don't think it's going to be enough that the mode will stop being as fun as it is.
I absolutely love that both of you answered this with fun. Like, you both went to fun. Like, will this? You interpreted the question as, will Alliance War not be as fun? Will it not draw as big of a crowd? And I think that's totally cool, because it highlights how I think we should look at these things as is it fun? And yet, I got to say, my concern, and therefore probably the concern I read into the questions, and I'm not sure that's what they meant, was if the rewards from Battlegrounds, or if they're rewarding, the latest rank up resources and shards to open crystals, then would you be concerned about Alliance War and if people are still wanting to do it? So, I don't think so. There's been nothing from Kabam that's made me think that they're going to start putting in 6-star shards and tier 6 or rank 5 or rank 4, 6-star rank up materials or things like that. But I would really hope that they don't do it. I feel like it's supposed to be this is a place to get relics, and maybe there's some other stuff in there because it's a mode of the game. Would you guys be concerned if they did start adding in 6-star shards and rank up resources too? Let's go ahead and go back to Campo.
I don't even know. The rewards, it's been something I've like pondered a lot, and I don't really know where I stand on any of it. It's I'm gonna do a little aside and just talk about incursions real quickly, because incursions I think are beautifully designed and they're extremely fun. Like, some of the most fun moments I've ever had in the game were in incursions. But the cerebral side of me is like, I shouldn't be spending that much time on these because the benefit reward wise isn't drawing me to it.
Yeah.
So I do think that Battlegrounds, it needs to have good enough rewards that we want to do it, because we do need that motivation for fun and feeling like we're getting rewarded for our time. And I also what I also would hope in terms of rewards is that there is sort of like a baseline of rewards that somebody who's playing the mode and doing reasonably well, you win some, you lose some, can collect. And then that we still give higher rewards to those who are really good at this game mode. Like, if you are killing it and making all the perfect decisions and playing well in the matches and you're at the top of the leaderboard, I want to see those people get like Legends runs style rewards, because it's, to me, they're equivalent. Like, I never have done an Act 7 Legends run because I don't think I'm capable of, but I know people that are, and they're some of the best players in the game. Like, Iron Patriot, Legacy, Toffray, like, they've done these amazing things and they should be rewarded for it. But my hope is, and this kind of goes back to the Alliance War, like, if the rewards are good enough to pick up, if I'm just doing you win some, you lose some, and it doesn't make me want to focus on this solely and give up stuff like Alliance War and content and YouTube and all that fun stuff that I have with the game, that's probably better than if the rewards are so good that I'm like, obsessing over my win-loss record and all that. That's just not very healthy. So I hope that was a little bit of a roundabout answer, but I hope it kind of answered your question.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I think one other thing I'll mention is we've had versions of that scare basically every time they've updated war or AQ rewards. Like, it's gone back and forth multiple times about which one is more important for the latest and greatest resources. Like, right now, I think AQ is clearly in the lead. But there are also alliances that prioritize war over AQ because it's more manageable without spending certain amounts of money because of the prestige issue, or because even if they could do both, this is what's more fun because of the team aspect. When it's been the other way around, you've had alliances that even when war was winning have focused more on AQ because they didn't want to deal with the coordination and stress of war, and AQ fit better. So I hope that you're right, and this is more relics, although I think it's probably also important long-term that this maybe not be the only source of relics.
Yeah.
But even if there is some bleed over, and there are some rank 4 mats here, or just good rank 3 mats or shards, anything like that, even if there's some bleed over here, I think as long as Kabam does it right, there's space for it to all coexist and for us to make decisions about what excites us the most. But I do echo Campo's reservation that I also absolutely love incursions, and I constantly feel like I should play them more often, because like, if you do it at a certain pace, the 6-star shards in there are actually pretty decent. The gold is really solid if you don't grind arena, but it's just time consuming, and the ratio feels off.
Okay.
So we'll see what they come out with for this.
Well, guys, thank you very much. I mean, we've covered, I think, pretty much every question, at least topics, as we put them into topics, that was asked on the Discord server. For anyone who's still listening, that is primarily how we'll be getting a lot of the questions on this once we come up with a topic or something. So if you're interested, that's what you can go. You can find the channel there. Thank you so much, guys. This was absolutely fascinating. It was cool to hear others' thoughts, right? Because we all come into this with like, just what occurs to us, and it doesn't mean we're selfish. It's just that's what occurs to us as our own experience. So, thank you for that. And then I would want to give either of you the chance, obviously, to sign off, or to if there's anything else you wanted to add. And let's go ahead and start with DLL for that.
Yeah, I don't think anything further for me. I just cannot wait to participate in this, whether it's through the beta or the general release. I'm very curious what the rewards and other implementation will be, and I really hope Kabam nails this, because I'm extremely excited, as you've heard.
Yeah, for me, I think what I've seen so far has really enticed me. It's really, really drawn me in. I almost want to say it's better than I thought it would be. Just watching some of the streams and, like Vegas stream and everything, I was like, oh, this actually might be something that I like, So yeah, I'm just very excited and echo everything we've said. I hope they nail it. I hope it feels good. I hope the balance is right, and it just brings the game into a new direction.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it, as always. Thank you, everyone who's viewed. If you have any other questions, hit us up in the comment section here, or you can always join the Discord server and ask on there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time. Take care. I hope you either learned something, were entertained, or even better, a little bit of both. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.